and welcome to the United States Air Force Test Pilot School Class 22 Bravo graduation. I am Colonel Sabrina Pabon, and I have the honor of serving as Commandant of the school. My co-hosts for this evening will be Major Mark Kobe Hammond, the Class Assistant Director of Operations, or more commonly referred to as the Class Mom, and Major Brian Wedge Walpole, the Class Leader for 22 Bravo. We have a very memorable program for you today as we graduate the class and celebrate our distinguished alumnus. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the presentation of the colors, the singing of our national anthem by Miss Rachel Bradshaw, the invocation by Captain Nathaniel Raquette, and a moment of silence for our prisoners of war and missing in action.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fights o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
If you would like to, please join me in prayer. Almighty God, we thank you for all the blessings you have given to Class 22 Bravo. We thank you for all the incredible experiences we have had over the last year. Thank you for our family and friends who have supported and encouraged us when we needed it most. Thank you for the camaraderie and teamwork among the class and for all the fun times we have had together. Thank you for instructors and staff who have worked diligently to teach and support us. Help us as we transition into our next jobs to be the best test pilots, combat systems officers, and flight test engineers that we can be. Give us wisdom, insight, and skill that we may be good stewards of the talents and experiences you have given us to test and develop capabilities to defend our nation. In your name we pray. Amen.
Thank you, Blue Eagles Honor Guard, Ms. Bradshaw, and Captain Rockwell. You can all be seated. As you're into the dining area, you may have noticed a table at the front. It is reserved to honor our missing comrades in arms. I would like to ask you for a moment of silence as we remember our comrades. A seat set for one. The empty place represents our missing from the United States military. This honor ceremony symbolizes that they are with us here in spirit. Some here in this room were very young when they were sent into combat. However, all Americans should never forget the brave men and women who answered our nation's call to serve and serve the cause of freedom in a special way. I would like to explain the meaning of the items on this special table. The table is round to show our everlasting concern for our missing. The tablecloth is white, symbolizing the purity of their motives when answering the call to duty. The single red rose displayed in a vase reminds us of the life each of the missing and their loved ones and friends of these Americans who keep the faith awaiting answers. The vase is tied with a yellow ribbon, symbol of our continued determination to account for our missing. A slice of lemon on the bread plate is to remind us of the bitter fate of those captured and missing in a foreign land. A pinch of salt symbolizes the tears endured by those missing and their families who seek answers. The glass is inverted to symbolize their inability to share this evening's toast. The chair is empty. They are missing. Please stand as we raise our water glasses to honor America's POWs, MIAs, to the success of our efforts to account for them. Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated.
I would like to start by recognizing a few of our distinguished guests. Please hold your applause until they have all been introduced. Brigadier General Matthew Heiger, Commander 412th Test Wing. Mr. David Van Hoy, Technical Director, United States Air Force Test Pilot School, and his wife, Mrs. Halida Van Hoy. Mr. Dallas Smith, my husband. Mr. David Smith, Director, Operating Location, United States Air Force Plant 42, and his wife, Mrs. Denise Smith. Colonel Grant Mizell, Commander 412th Operations Group, and his wife, Mrs. Evelyn Mizell. Colonel Jamie Jamieson, IMA to the Commander, 412th Operations Group. Commander Ian Holston, Empire Test Pilot School, United Kingdom. Lieutenant Colonel Aaron Kia, Commander, United States Navy Test Pilot School. And our guest speaker this afternoon, Colonel Art Tomasetti, United States Marine Corps, retired. I would also like to extend a very warm welcome to the family members, commanders, and friends of Class 22 Bravo who are joining us today in person, as well as those who are watching this ceremony virtually. A special thank you to the people who organized today's event, the Class 22 Bravo Graduation Committee, the TPS staff, the Public Affairs and the Multimedia team, and of course, Plant 42 for this wonderful venue.
In keeping with TPS tradition, each graduating class selects the best of the best from among the TPS staff and aircraft maintenance personnel for their outstanding support throughout the year. Earlier this week, we recognized the amazing folks that helped our year run smoothly. The award winners are displayed on the screen. If those individuals are here tonight, please stand to be recognized. The Distinguished Alumnus Award is presented to a prior United States Air Force Test Pilot School graduate, selected by the graduating class that recognizes the incredible contributions of an individual to the flight test community. The person had a direct impact on Class 22 Bravo as an instructor at TPS. They were a consummate professional in all their instructions, briefs, execution, and debriefs, always holding the standard high, proven by the fact that they gave Class 22 Bravo the lowest exam score in their TPS curriculum. For his significant and lasting contribution to aviation science, Class 22 Bravo has chosen Colonel Stephen Burns Ross, United States Air Force, retired, to receive the Distinguished Alumnus Award. Sir, on behalf of Class 22 Bravo, we present you our Distinguished Alumnus Award. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my distinct honor to introduce our guest speaker, Colonel Art Tomasetti, United States Marine Corps, retired. Colonel Tomasetti served for 27 years in the United States Marine Corps. He earned his commission in 1986 and completed flight training in 1988. He served with 2 Fleet AV-8B squadrons, VMA 542 and VMA 513, and flew 39 combat missions during Operation Desert Storm. In 1997, Colonel Tomasetti attended the United States Navy Test Pilot School and was assigned to the Joint Strike Fighter Test Force after graduation. He eventually became the lead government pilot for the X-35 test team and the only United States government pilot to fly all 3 variants of the X-35 aircraft. His command tours include United States Navy's Tactical Jet Test and Evaluation Squadron, VX-23, and Marine Aviation Detachment at Patuxent River, Maryland. His final military assignment was as 33rd Fighter Wing Vice Commander, where he helped to stand up the F-35 training for pilots and maintainers at Eglin Air Force Base, and was also an F-35 instructor pilot. He has more than 3,200 hours in over 40 types of aircraft and is the only pilot to have flown both the X-35 and F-35. Upon retirement from the Marine Corps, Colonel Tomasetti worked for Lockheed Martin as the F-35B United States Marine Corps Program Manager. He led a matrix team that supported all facets of Marine Corps F-35 Initial Operation Capability Declaration and the first operational Marine F-35 deployments. He was part of the company's reorganization team and developed a new construct for customers and support and interaction. In 2019, Colonel Tomasetti founded Time to Climb Training and Consulting and works as a motivational speaker. Colonel Tomasetti has a bachelor degree of science in mechanical engineering from Northwestern University, a master of science degree in aviation systems from the University of Tennessee. His military awards include the Legion of Merit, Defense Meritorious Service Medal, and 3 Air Medals. He is a fellow and past president of the Society of Experimental Test Pilots, the current chairman of the Flight Test Safety Committee, and the recipient of the Tony Liviere Flight Test Safety Award. Colonel Tomasetti, the stage is yours.
Distinguished guests, family, friends, and soon-to-be graduates, thank you for having me. It is an honor and a privilege for me to be here with you this afternoon. I was going to say this evening, but the sun's still pretty bright out there. You may be wondering, why is a retired Marine speaking at the U.S. Air Force Test Pilot School graduation? Well, I do have some connections with the U.S. Air Force. I flew here out at Edwards when we were doing X-35 stuff. I worked a little bit of time at the Lockheed side in a building just down the road, behind which there sits, maybe still today, I'm not sure if they filled it in, a hover pit where we did some initial X-35 hover work. Flew there. And then I had the distinction of being the vice wing commander for the 33rd Fighter Wing at Eglin Air Force Base. Actually served as the acting wing commander for 3 months. And as we did our research, the only Marine ever to have done that. That's the good news. The bad news is I was the last Marine ever to have done that. So we'll see how tonight goes. And I started thinking about, I'm terrible at speeches. I'm much better at just talking. So that's what I'm going to do tonight. And I started thinking about, well, what am I going to talk about? And you heard Wedge read off my bio. So I got to do a lot of really cool things. And I thought, well, maybe what I could do is kind of describe to you how I was able to do all that stuff as you get ready to embark on your flight test career. But to be brutally honest, I'm not quite sure I know how it all happened. I mean, I know how it started. It started with me applying to test pilot school and getting rejected. And then 6 months later, applying to test pilot school and getting rejected. Apply, reject, apply, reject. That happened 6 times before on the 7th try, I was accepted. Now, I would like, and what I tell, when I talk to students, what I tell them is the takeaway from that is be persistent, never give up on your dreams, all that stuff. What I think really happened is, this is back in the days where your files were not electronic, they were paper. So I think the staff sergeant at Headquarters Marine Corps realized my binder was getting too big to fit in the file cabinet anymore, and the only solution to that problem was to let me go to the school. So that's how it started. All that other stuff you heard, some of it was being in the right place at the right time. Some of it was being in the right place at the wrong time. And at least once it was being in the wrong place at the wrong time. So I thought, well, what if I just pick a theme or a topic to talk about? That might be better. So my theme tonight is, so now what? For the graduating class. So let's start with, so now what tonight? Well, we got to get through my talk, the formalities, the dinner, the after party. And Wedge, you told me it was an open bar at the after party? Okay, so that puts us in a completely different portion of the hazard matrix. But assuming we all survive that and you all survive that, tonight is really about recognizing what you have done. And for the family and friends that are here, it's not just about the fact that these students have completed this year of training. They had to get selected to come here. They had to have done things in their career to make them competitive for that selection process. And they had to have something inside them all the way back at the beginning to make them want to decide to choose a life, at least for a portion of their life, of service. So tonight is kind of the culmination of all of that. So that's the so now what for tonight. So now what comes tomorrow? Well, tomorrow is your first day as graduates of test pilot school. You will be expected to know things. You will be expected to do things. And there may not be an easy sort of ramp up and a gradual easing into that role. I graduated from Navy Test Pilot School in December of '97. The holidays happened, so we went back to work in January. 8 days into the job of test pilot, I was on my way to the vertical motion simulator at NASA Ames to do evaluations of flight controls for the X-35. Now, they didn't just throw me into the fire. They sent me over here to the Skunk Works for a half a day to get familiar with how the airplane flew and what the control setup was. And then I went up to the NASA Ames facility. And I got into the rotation of doing evaluations. And I'll never forget my first experience. They put me in, they gave me a set of tasks to go accomplish. I did them, and I was feeling pretty good. You know, here I am, test pilot, doing test pilot stuff. How cool is that? And I'm giving out handling qualities ratings, and for those who aren't familiar, we basically try to assign a number scale to how well the airplane performs tasks. And I gave, for whatever the task it was, I gave a 4. Now, a 4 is not a terrible rating. It's not great, but it's good. And I said 4 over the radio, and there was like silence. Okay, we get on. We come out, and they said, okay, the debrief's going to be in the room over there. I said, okay, I walk into the debrief room, and what I notice is there's this long table, 5 chairs on one side of the table, 1 chair on the other side of the table. Guess which one I was supposed to sit in? So I sit in the 1 chair on the other side, and people fill in those 5 chairs, all, at least to me at that time, old dudes. And we start going through the things I did, and we get to that one where I gave the number 4 as the handling qualities rating. And they said, we'd like to talk about that. And we want to understand what the deficiency was. And I just said that very calmly. It was a little bit more heated the way they said it, the way we led up to that. And suddenly my mind went blank. I couldn't remember anything about aerodynamics. I couldn't remember any equations. I couldn't even blurt out a random Greek letter. And I told them the airplane in the semi-jet-borne phase felt mushy. So the takeaways from that story are you may be expected to do what you've been taught over the past year very quickly after tomorrow. The other takeaway is please don't ever use the word mushy if you are in a situation like that. It will just make the debrief much more complicated than it needs to be. So now what after that? Well, after that, you're going to find that you're going to need a couple of attributes to be successful in this endeavor of flight test. Now, these are probably attributes you already have. The first one is confidence. Now, I'm not talking type A personality, arrogance, ego stuff. We all have that. We just keep that on the down low, right? I'm talking about the confidence that comes from a drive to be better. You're all good, or you wouldn't be here today. But you're also, more than likely, the kind of people who good isn't good enough. That drive, that thing that pushes you to want to be better, that's the kind of confidence that I'm talking about. The second one is cleverness. It would be so easy, and everybody would do it, if all of the solutions to what happens in this world of flight test were straightforward. Usually when I talk about these attributes that I call the 4 C's, I make my rock climbing analogy. Cleverness is when, hey, the path to get to the top of the hill, the mountain, the rock, the boulder, whatever it is you're trying to climb, is straight up. But sometimes there's something in the way, and you got to go sideways. You got to be clever enough to find that innovative solution. As flight testers, you are expected to know the box. You are expected to be able to navigate right up to the edge of it, but you're also going to be expected to think outside of it. Number 3, courage. Flight test is risky business, not Tom Cruise, Ray-Ban movie risky business, like real deal risky business sometimes. So there's a courage involved to go say, yes, I'll go do that. Yes, I'll go try that. Yes, I will take on that challenge. Yes, I will take on that problem. That's the courage we're most familiar with. But as testers, there's another angle to that that's going to be expected of you. It's the courage to know when to say no, to know when it doesn't look right. It doesn't feel right. It's not performing the way it was supposed to. This is not how it was supposed to go according to all of the analysis we did. It's not following the predictions. Whatever that reason is, you are the ones, and sometimes you may be the only one in a position to have the courage to say, no, it's not ready. It's not right. We're not ready. And the hardest one of all, I'm not ready. You have to be the one sometimes to say that. And here's the next level downside to all of that is not only you might be the one to have to say no, but you're going to have to be the one or part of the team that gets whatever it is from no, we shouldn't to now we can, and use what you've been taught over the past year to figure out how to do that. The last one is commitment. Now, commitment for you all is probably the easiest of the four I'm talking about, because you had to have commitment to get here. It doesn't just happen. And what you get to do may help you stay committed. Now, I was at the patch night on Wednesday, and what I learned about some of you, you may have already should have been committed at a previous date to this, but being committed is key to getting the job done. In my rock climbing analogy, is once you put your hand on and your foot on, you don't let go. You've got to be committed to be able to get to the top. I started out my Marine Corps career as a Harrier pilot. In my first tour, which was just about 4 years, we crashed just in the U.S., in the Harrier community, 14 airplanes. We lost 12 pilots. 2 of those were roommates of mine at some point in time. At that time in my career, I believe that even though something bad might have happened, something might have failed on the airplane, I believe that the pilot could always have been good enough to save the day. And save the day might not have necessarily been save the airplane, but might have been get to a safe ejection point. That's what I thought when I was younger. I thought, yeah, bad things can happen to the airplane, but the pilot can be good enough to overcome that. So I worked hard to be good enough to try to overcome a bad day that might come my way. But then I went to test pilot school. And what I learned there is sometimes it's the airplane that can be better. And as you heard, right out of test pilot school, I get to get involved in this thing called the Joint Strike Fighter, which, oh, by the way, happens to be the airplane that is going to replace the Harrier. So I get to try to help make an airplane better so that some point in the future, some lieutenant in an F-35 squadron completing their first tour has never been to a memorial service. If the opportunity that you are being given to be able to do that, to have that kind of impact, doesn't help you stay committed, I don't know what will. So let me close with thank you again for having me here. Congratulations to all of you. It is a big deal what you have just done. Let it all sink in. If I'd with what I described to you, if any of that sounds hard, challenging, difficult, tenuous, sorry, it may be that way for you. You may have the perfect career where everything works out great and whatever program you get assigned to is on time and on budget. If you are that person, please call me and let me know, because I would love to hear that story. I've never seen it happen before, but it's possible. It's theoretically possible for that to happen. But you're not alone in this. Stay connected as a class, because all of you are going to depart from here and go in different directions. You are all going to get experiences. You're all going to learn lessons. And if you stay connected, you can share those with each other. You already have, more than likely, mentors, and you will get more. People who can share with you their experiences, their lessons, both on the technical side and maybe even on the career path side. Make use of those people. Our profession thrives on that kind of connectivity. And if you ever find yourself in a situation where somebody doesn't answer the phone, or somebody doesn't respond to the text, or somebody doesn't respond to the email you sent, call me. I'll answer the phone and we'll talk. So I was going to end on that really positive group hug kind of thing, but then I started thinking, well, you had a Marine as your guest speaker, right? And given my track record with the Air Force, this may be the last time it happens. So we're going to end a little different. Major Wedgepole, get your class to stand up, please. Major Wedgepole, does your class have a name? The fun class, sir. Are you the fun class? Yes. Okay, you obviously haven't done this in a while. Are you the fun class? Yes, sir. Are you ready to graduate? Yes, sir. Are you the best class to come through United States Air Force Test Pilot School? Yes, sir. Yeah. So much for leaving arrogance on the down low, right? Yeah. Class 22 Bravo, fun class. So now what? Now it's time for you to go make a difference. Go get it done. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. The class would like to present a gift.
The graduating class consists of 12 experimental test pilots, 8 flight test engineers, 2 experimental test weapons systems officers, and 1 experimental test remotely piloted aircraft pilot. Included among our graduates are the finest from our own United States Air Force, United States Marine Corps, United States Space Force, as well as the Republic of Singapore Air Force and Royal Air Force. These students have completed one of the most demanding courses in the world. Each student completed over 2,500 hours of academics and 120 hours of flight training. Each student had 6 hours per day of instructor contact time, not including academic and flight preparation time. As a final graduation exercise, the students demonstrated learning from across the curriculum by planning and executing real-world test management projects. Students, please stand as your test management project, also known as TMP, is presented. Class 22 Bravo's projects included the HAB Cyclops, HAV Cyclops team worked in conjunction with the Ophir Corporation to test the Laser Radar Data System, LRADS, as installed in the TPS-owned Rascal Pod. LRAD uses visible light to measure true aircraft position with respect to the air mass around it. Laser air data can provide a more accurate, versatile, and low-profile solution for aircraft, especially in the subsonic region. The team planned and executed non-eye-safe laser operations for 3-day and 1-night sorties with varying levels of success. Due to technical issues with the system under test, the lasers remained shuttered for every sortie, and the accuracy of LRADs was unable to be determined. However, the receivers still collected data in the visual spectrum. This allowed the team to perform a detailed analysis on solar noise to improve future test endeavors. Test team members included Captain Rachel Salee as project manager and test pilot, Captain Connor Love and Captain Robert Torek as flight test engineers, and Captain Nathan Carey, Captain Gregory Search, and Captain Christopher Shannon as test pilots. HAV Starboy. The HAV Starboy TMP tested an L5 only GNSS, Global Navigation Satellite System, receiver connected to an existing tactical air navigation TACAN antenna on a T-38. Both the Global Positioning System, GPS, and the European Union's Galileo satellite navigation systems transmit a navigation signal in the L5 frequency band, which is the same frequency used as the TACAN system. The system is designed to be used as a position truth source when testing navigation systems with GPS L1, L2 jamming or interference, and requires no changes to the outer mold line of the aircraft. Additionally, this project was the first implementation of the Gulf Range Instrumentation TSB system GRITS unit as a TSB truth source at Edwards. Throughout 4 ground tests and 7 sorties, the team was able to determine the accuracy of the system under test, determine the effectiveness of this system configuration, and demonstrate that there are no negative impacts to existing aircraft TACAN capabilities. Test team members included Captain Nathan Rockwet, project manager and flight test engineer, Captain Jericho Malia and Captain Casey Slattery as flight test engineers, and Major Matthew Dockery and Stephen O'Brien and squadron leader Stephen Tavener as test pilots. HAV Ironman. The HAV Ironman TMP examined the effectiveness of the Scorpion helmet-mounted display, HMD, and the Strike Eye HMD integrated on the L-29 on task performance and assessed the impacts on situational awareness and human factors. As modern technology enables unprecedented amounts of information, data fusion, and new capabilities, autonomous wingman, to the operator, a human-machine interface problem arises. How do we best present this information to the user? While HMDs like this have been fielded in aircraft across the Department of Defense, Ironman investigated if the differences between these helmets, color versus monochrome, monocle versus full color display, caused a noticeable effect on task performance. The team collected data over 22 total flights, performing select relevant air-to-air training tasks 3 times, once as a baseline without an HMD, once with the Scorpion HMD, and once with the Strike Eye HMD. The Ironman team looked at the 3 independent metrics to assess task performance using a model-based human system integration approach, a novel situational awareness model currently in development by the Operator Performance Laboratory, and pilot comments. Overall, differences were observed between the different configurations, although the background of the aircrew did influence which configuration resulted in the best performance. Test team members included Captain Tyler Frazier as project manager and test pilot, Captain Sean Shee and Major Charles Gerlisi as flight test engineers, Captain Joseph McCormick as test combat systems operator, Captain Jia Rong Wong, and Captain John Jern as test pilots. HAV Dragon. The HAV Dragon team characterized a novel classified test system in a unique environment. The team coordinated a series of large force exercises with 8 different types of aircraft and provided the collected test data to external customers. Their efforts directly helped America preserve freedom around the world and defeat our adversaries. Test team members included Captain Megan Scheel as project manager and combat systems operator, Captain Andrew Golden and Captain Lauren Myers as flight test engineers, Major Daniel Lacroix, Major Brent Maggard, and Major Brian Walpole as test pilots.
Before we move on to announce the student awards, it seems only fitting to recognize the group of outstanding professionals who were directly responsible for teaching and training these new graduates. Would all the members of the TPS faculty and staff, including attached personnel, past and present, please stand and be recognized. It is now time to recognize the top individual student performers. Through a combination of graded flying events, academic exams, and reports, as well as ratings from their classmates, a few individuals are honored for their unique success and contributions to TPS and the graduating class. Each of these recipients will receive a personal plaque and have their name inscribed on a trophy displayed at the school. As your name is called, please join me on stage to receive your award. The first award, the Aaron C. George Warrior Award, recognized the student who most exemplified the warrior-focused attitude to feel the best weapon system possible. This award is voted on by the members of each class and presented to the student who always remembered the reason why we are here, the operator in the field. The award is named in honor of Major Aaron C. George from Class 99 Bravo, who was lost while flying an F-16 photo chase mission with the 416th Flight Test Squadron. TPS Class 99 Bravo has set up a permanent display at Test Pilot School, a Mark 82 500-pound bomb engraved with the names of the award recipients. The 22 Bravo recipient of the Aaron C. George Warrior Award is Major Brian Wedge Walpole. Congratulations, Wedge. The second award, the Ellison Onizuka Prop Wash Award, is given to the one person who contributed the most to the class spirit and morale. Captain Onizuka won the award for TPS Class 74 Bravo, and it was subsequently renamed in his memory after he was lost in the Space Shuttle Challenger tragedy. The 22 Bravo recipient of the Onizuka Prop Wash Award is Major Math Doc Doherty. The third award, the Lethan Tittle Award, recognizes the class's most outstanding test pilot graduate. The award is named after Major Frank Lethan, TPS Class 61 Charlie, who was lost in 1966 while flying with the Thunderbirds, and Major David Tittle, TPS Class 55 Delta, who was lost in 1966 while testing the XV-5 vertical takeoff and landing aircraft at Edwards. The 22 Bravo recipient of the Lethan Tittle Award is Captain Christopher Clutch Shannon. Congratulations, Clutch. The fourth award, the Raymond L. Jones Award, is presented to the most outstanding flight test engineer or combat systems officer graduate. The award is named for Colonel Raymond L. Jones, a former staff instructor and deputy commandant of the Test Pilot School. He was instrumental in the formulation of the flight test engineering program. The 22 Bravo recipient of the Raymond L. Jones Award is Captain Megan Rowdy Shield. Congratulations, Rowdy. The final recognition is given for individual distinction. The students of Class 22 Bravo have worked extremely hard during the past year, with 4 students earning the title of Distinguished Graduate. When your name is called, please stand to be recognized. The distinguished graduates of Class 22 Bravo are Captain John Bon Jorn, Major Daniel Fox Lacroix, Major Daniel Racer Maggard, and Captain Christopher Clutch Shannon. Congratulations. It is now time to bring Major Brian Wedge Walpole back to the podium to provide his class leader address. The class leader job is assigned to the class senior ranking officer, and it is a job that has more responsibility than authority, as a class leader is responsible from leading within and passing information between the class and TPS leadership. Wedge got the privilege of doing all this while also being a student with all of his classmates. I had the pleasure to meet with Wedge very regularly over the last year, and he never failed to display the kind of leadership and professionalism that we expect from our flight test leaders. Wedge, thank you from the entire TPS staff and your class for being an amazing class leader. The floor is yours.
Colonel Pabon, thank you. On behalf of each of my classmates, I would like to recognize the efforts of everyone that supported Class 22 Bravo throughout the last year. To the TPS staff and spouses, 412th Test Wing, AFMC, and their supporting agencies, thank you for your support. To the Class 22 Bravo's family and friends in attendance and online, thank you for without your unwavering support, the long hours, the endless reports, exams, and annoyances of the TPS curriculum would have been impossible to overcome. I would also like to thank my classmates and 22 Bravo spouses that enabled this spectacular event at Plant 42. With a special thanks to Dr. David Smith, Mr. Chad Morris, my classmates Captain Sean Chi, Rachel Sally, and Casey Slattery, as well as 22 Bravo's key spouses, Megan Golden and Maggie Reckett. We've heard a lot over the last few days and weeks about why 22 Bravo was so successful as a class, how well we work together, and just how fun we have been. It is true, as our class patch states, we are the fun class. In fact, I believe Colonel Pabon, while referencing 22B, can be quoted, or at least paraphrased by a Marine, as saying, "Thank you for bringing the fun back to TPS." Now, I would like to add some more data to why we were so successful and worked so well together. Most of you in attendance now know one or more of the 22 Bravo members as students, sons, daughters, brothers, sisters, mothers, fathers, friends, and spouses. This afternoon, I want to introduce each of you to 22 Bravo from the perspective of classmates, peers, team members, lifelines, confidants, and allies. The following statements are modified and condensed from a much longer list, but represent how each member of Class 22B has viewed his or her classmate throughout the year. Without further delay, and yes, in a particular order, hence alphabetical order because I barely know my ABCs, we'll start with Nathan Kaiser Carey. Kaiser is a hardworking team player. He is dedicated and the only guy who will work or bike to work in a snowstorm. What more do you expect from the model of peak human performance? Sean Flackchi is unafraid to speak up. Courageous enough to ask questions to ensure the status quo is challenged. If only he would have asked these questions before 1700 on a Friday. Matthew Doc Doherty has an awesome personality. His energy and positivity are a significant boost to everyone's mood. Who else could start a band from nothing and produce an album all while at TPS? Tyler Rain Frazier is a great teammate, natural leader, that was strong enough to lead a family through the birth of a new child and a TMP at TPS. There's a little known fact. Rain is good, not good, just very competitive when it comes to board games. Charles Sirius Garlisi has an attention to detail and always produces solid work. He is not afraid to speak up when he notices something isn't right, and then adds value to every conversation he's in. Sirius was voted as having the best smile in Class 22B. Andrew Drifter Golden is super smart, always helpful, and cares about the team. He is on a constant quest for perfection and doesn't quit at good enough and always looks to get better from every event. His only kryptonite are spelling words over 4 letters long. John Bonjorn has a great sense of humor. He is an excellent pilot, highly motivated and eager to lead and help with group work. Bond's like a sleeper genius, as we just found out. So much for smooth brain. He immediately picks up difficult concepts. If he wasn't so humble, we'd probably hate him. Daniel Fox LaCroix is a morale maker. Fox is a composed individual and has incredible patience as the 22 Bravo F-16 tutor, and is probably a better FDO than most of the TPS staff. His only real flaw is being a Fighting Falcon driver. Connor Papa Love is hardworking and humble. Papa is affectionately called 22 Bravo's golden boy, and may very well be the answer to his own question. Who is the best pilot at TPS? If he could only stop making himself airsick. Brent Racer Maggard, as the class mayor, is the soul of 22 Bravo. A natural leader that has positively changed the way our class operates, maintains the high morale of the fun class, super good pilot, provided he isn't flying an F-16. Joseph Slick McCormick is humble and humorous. He makes everything he does look easy and a strong teammate. Joey is always willing to open his home and spend time with friends. We as a class cannot find a single bad thing to say about Slick. Lauren Fod Myers is resilient, smart, and has a canning ability to comprehend and succinctly explain difficult concepts to the entire class. He has a phenomenal ability to multitask. He spends his nights moonlighting as the TPS statistics instructor. Stephen Nike O'Brien is a very diligent individual who always has a plan, quietly does his job, and never complains. Simply put, he is a solid dude. We always wanted him on our test team. Nike has great hair, and even better mustache. If only he could supply more Danishes, he would be perfect. Nathan Lowball Riquette was very helpful to Class 22B, an extremely hardworking individual. He's a solid teammate, super smart, and writes better exams than the staff. Lowball single-handedly carried 22 Bravo through the system's comprehensive exam. Rachel Sheelon Selly has a strong empathy for others. She was affectionately called the mama bear for the class, as she was always interested in what was going on in our personal lives as well as professional. Is there a plane Rachel hasn't flown? Maybe the Bear Hawk. Megan Rowdy Sheely has a clear sense of vision for the class as well as herself, which is infectious. She is a hard worker, not afraid to stand up for what she knows is right. Without Rowdy, the dumpster fire never would have turned into the fun class. Gregor Bunker Research is helpful, reliable, and always fun to be around. He knows how to step up when the chips are down, taking lessons learned in stride and working through adversity. After all, Bunker is the inspiration for the naming of the the 22 Bravo class band. Christopher Clutch Shannon exudes confidence, is everything he says, and has knowledge to back it up. He is eloquent and analytical and handles an immense amount of workload with incredible grace. Exactly what one would expect from the protege of Yuck Out. Casey Sandman Slattery is helpful and selfless individual. He's dedicated natural leader who works hard and does a lot of thankless tasks to help every one of his classmates. Sandman is charming, at least to those a couple generations ahead of him. Stephen Tavo Tavener is hardworking and conscientious. He's humble and dedicated to the test community. Tavo brings a breadth of experience and is always willing to learn and find new ways to frame problems. I think if we had one more year, we could have converted Tavo to a full-blooded American. Robert Cliff Torek is proactive and takes the initiative. He does a fantastic job on everything he works on and has a cool, calm, and collected presence in every situation. Cliff could probably use a little more time in the gym as he's kind of looking small. J.R. Grammy Wong is proactive and hardworking, always the first person in the class to take care of due-outs and make sure everything is on track for the class. Super athlete and pilot, Grammy, go do great things for Singapore. What I hope you heard over this quick synopsis of the class were the key elements that made it last year so successful and enabled us to work so well together. Traits like dedicated, courageous, positive teammates who had a constant quest for perfection and were motivated and eager, morale makers that are hardworking and humble, natural leaders that could be a strong teammate, humorous, resilient, diligent, helpful individuals that could show empathy and had the sense of vision of where they and the class could go. Classmates that were helpful, reliable, and selfless, that are knowledgeable and conscientious and proactively took the initiative. You inspired me. Class 22B, thank you for showing me and the world how to be humble, credible, and approachable. Here's to the fun, class.
And now for the moment we've all been waiting for. We will now graduate the students of Class 22 Bravo. Class 22 Bravo, please rise. Mr. David Van Hoy, has the faculty of Test Pilot School tested these degree candidates and found that they have met all requirements for the Master of Science degree in Flight Test Engineering? Then on behalf of the Air University Commander, by virtue of the authority vested in him by Congress of the United States, I hereby confer upon you the degree of Master of Science in Flight Test Engineering with all the rights, honor, privileges, and responsibilities here and everywhere pertaining to this degree. Congratulations. Fun class, please be seated. Brigadier General Heiger, would you please join me on stage for the presentation of the graduation plaques, an individually numbered round metal object. Graduates, as your name is called, please come to the stage to receive your graduate plaque, an individually numbered round metal object.
Captain Nathan Kaiser Carey, Experimental Flight Test Pilot, United States Air Force. Kaiser graduated from the United States Air Force Academy with a bachelor's degree in aeronautical engineering and from the Air Force Institute of Technology with a master's certificate in nuclear weapons effects policy and proliferation. Kaiser would like to thank the TPS instructors and staff for their hard work and dedication in providing a year full of priceless opportunities. He would also like to thank the Fun Class for all their support through challenging projects, exams, and evaluations, and for making amazing memories throughout the year. Finally, he would like to thank his family for their patience and encouragement, allowing him to pursue his lifelong dreams. Kaiser is assigned to the 419th Flight Test Squadron at Edwards Air Force Base, California, where he will test the B-52 Stratofortress. Captain Sean Flack Chi, Experimental Flight Test Engineer, United States Air Force. Flack graduated from the United States Air Force Academy with a bachelor's degree in physics. He then graduated from Johns Hopkins Whiting School of Engineering with a master's in biomedical engineering. Flack would like to thank his family and friends for all the support they have given. He would like to give a special shout out to Major Mark Hammond for his continuous support and willingness to help. Finally, he would like to thank Chief Peter Martinez for taking him under his wing and mentoring little Chi during his time as a maintenance officer. Next, Flack will be headed to the 40th Flight Test Squadron at Eglin Air Force Base, Florida. Major Matthew Doc Doherty, Experimental Flight Test Pilot, United States Air Force. Doc graduated from the United States Naval Academy with a bachelor's degree in aeronautical engineering and from Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University with a master's degree in engineering management. Doc would like to thank the love of his life, Paris, for her unending support, patience, and sacrifice. This journey would not be possible without her. He would also like to thank his family for being here today. It means the world on this momentous occasion. Finally, Doc would also like to thank 22 Bravo for being the best group of friends possible to go through test pilot school with. Cheers to the Fun Class. Next, Doc will be headed to the 418th Flight Test Squadron, Edwards Air Force Base, California, to return to heavies and work on the KC-46. Captain Tyler Rain Frazier, Experimental Test Pilot, United States Air Force. Rain graduated from Clemson University with a bachelor's degree in physics. Rain would like to thank his family for their support, especially through the past 5 years. He would specifically like to thank his wife Erica for her patience and for his mom Chris for her help throughout the past year. Finally, he'd like to thank his kids, Kate, Ryan, and Lucas, for their understanding during long evenings of work. Rain is assigned to the 413th Flight Test Squadron at Hurlburt Field, Florida, where he will test the CV-22 Osprey. Major Charles Sirius Garlisi, Experimental Flight Test Engineer, United States Space Force. Sirius graduated from Pennsylvania State University with a bachelor's degree in aerospace engineering and from the Air Force Institute of Technology with a master's degree in astronautical engineering. Sirius would like to thank his friends and family who supported him throughout the year. Sirius is assigned to the 418th Flight Test Squadron at Edwards Air Force Base, California. Captain Andrew Drifter Golden, Experimental Flight Test Engineer, United States Air Force. Drifter graduated from The Ohio State University with a bachelor's degree in aeronautics and astronautics engineering from the Air Force Institute of Technology with a master's degree in aeronautical engineering. Drifter would like to thank God for this opportunity. He would like to thank his wife, Megan, and his son, Kaladin, for supporting him and the class throughout this difficult year. Captain John Bonjorn, Experimental Flight Test Pilot, United States Air Force. Bon graduated from the United States Air Force Academy with a bachelor's degree in civil engineering and environmental engineering. John would like to thank his wife, Rachel, for her tireless effort and support during this difficult year apart, parents Jeff and Kathy for their lifelong support, and his dog Pete for keeping Rachel company while he was gone. Bon is assigned to the 40th Flight Test Squadron, Eglin Air Force Base, Florida, where he will be testing the F-15E and F-15EX. Major Daniel Fox Lacroix, Experimental Flight Test Pilot, United States Air Force. Fox graduated from the U.S. Air Force Academy with a bachelor's degree in aeronautical engineering and from the University of Washington with a Master of Science in aeronautics and astronautics. Fox would like to thank his amazing wife, Kate, for all that she does and the immeasurable amount of work that she put in taking care of Madeline and the family while working, flying, and all the other extra things put on her shoulders this past year. He would also like to thank his mother, Jill, father, Mark, Lisa, Janelle, Tim, and Susie for all their help with Maddie. Fox sends a heartfelt thank you to his classmates for their incredible friendship and support. Fox is assigned to the 416th Flight Test Squadron at Edwards Air Force Base, California, where he will test the Viper. Captain Connor Papa Love, Experimental Flight Test Engineer, United States Air Force. Papa graduated from the Ohio State University with a bachelor's degree in aerospace engineering. Papa would like to thank his girlfriend Mackenzie for her unending love and support throughout every day of TPS. He would also like to thank his mom, dad, and entire family for their support from the very beginning of his TPS journey. Papa is assigned to the 46th Test Squadron at Eglin Air Force Base, Florida, where he will test communication and data links across platforms. Major Brent Racer Maggard, Experimental Flight Test Pilot, United States Air Force. Racer graduated from the United States Air Force Academy with a bachelor's degree in aeronautical engineering. Racer would like to thank his parents, Terry and Cindy, and his sister Tia for their constant support throughout this year. He would also like to thank his friends and wingman through the years. You guys make it worth coming to work every day. Head high, mock up. Racer is assigned to the 411th Flight Test Squadron at Edwards Air Force Base, California, where he will test the F-22 Raptor. Captain Joseph Slick McCormick, Experimental Test Combat Systems Officer, United States Air Force. Slick graduated from the Ohio State University with a bachelor's degree in aerospace engineering and Mississippi State University with a master's degree in aerospace engineering. Slick would like to thank his incredible wife, Marissa, for being such a caring and loving person. She has supported him and tolerated so much, from early briefs and late night studying to all the KCS jam sessions while pregnant. Also, he would like to thank his fellow graduates that supported him through TPS and helped make this an unforgettable year. Slick is assigned to the 417th Flight Test Squadron at Eglin Air Force Base, Florida, where he will test AC-130J, MC-130, HC-130, and EC-130. Captain Lauren Fod Myers, Experimental Flight Test Engineer, United States Air Force. Fod graduated from Washington State University with a bachelor's degree in computer engineering and from the Air Force Institute of Technology with a master's degree in electrical engineering. Fod would like to thank his wife, Hannah, for all her love, understanding, and steadfast support. He would also like to thank his family for always cheering him on and applauding his achievements. Fod is assigned to the 411th Flight Test Squadron at Edwards Air Force Base, California, where he will test the F-22 Raptor. Captain Stephen Nike O'Brien, Experimental Test Pilot, United States Air Force. Nike graduated from the University of Central Florida with a bachelor's degree in aerospace engineering and a bachelor's degree in mechanical engineering. Nike would like to thank his family, the TPS staff, and the fun class for their support, and his wife, Zeneb, for her unending love and patience and numerous sacrifices she made so that he could chase his dreams. Nike is assigned to the 419th Flight Test Squadron at Edwards Air Force Base, California, where he will test the B-2. Captain Nathaniel Lowball Rockwett, Experimental Flight Test Engineer, United States Air Force. Lowball graduated from Cedarville University with a bachelor's degree in electrical engineering and the Air Force Institute of Technology with a master's degree in electrical engineering. Lowball would like to thank God for salvation and all the undeserving blessings of life. He wants to thank his wife Maggie and daughter Elsie for being such an encouragement and support this past year. He also wants to thank TPS students, instructors, and staff for making this past year such an awesome experience. Lowball is assigned to the 586th Flight Test Squadron at Holloman Air Force Base, New Mexico, where he will test prototype and experimental systems on the T-38 and C-12. Captain Jia Rong Grammy Wong, Experimental Flight Test Pilot, Republic of Singapore Air Force. Grammy graduated from the Nanyang Technical University, Singapore, with a bachelor's degree in business. Grammy would like to thank his beautiful wife Shan for taking care of their kids while he pursued the next level of his career. He'd also like to thank his family, TPS staff members, and his classmates for their support throughout this challenging yet fulfilling TPS journey. Grammy is assigned to the Fixed Wing Trial Squadron at the Republic of Singapore Air Force, where he will test the upgraded F-16. Captain Rachel Shilon Salih, Experimental Flight Test Pilot, United States Air Force Reserve. Shilon graduated from Purdue University with a bachelor's degree in mechanical engineering and from the University of Washington with a master's degree in aerospace engineering. Rachel would like to thank her wonderfully supportive family and friends with a special shout out to her home unit, the 728th Airlift Squadron, proudly represented here today. And of course, all thanks to 22 Bravo for the laughter, tears, and karaoke. She wouldn't be here without the unwavering love and support of the incredible humans in this room. Rachel will be taken on an active duty assignment to the 418th Flight Test Squadron at Edwards Air Force Base, California, where she will return to her beloved C-17 and other heavy aircraft. Captain Megan Rowdy Shealy, Experimental Test Combat Systems Officer, United States Air Force. Rowdy graduated from the University of Colorado with a bachelor and master's degree in aerospace engineering. Rowdy would like to thank her husband Patrick for all the love and support he's shown this past year, especially when she's stressed out, sleep-deprived, and hungry. His patience is truly inspirational, and she can't wait to share this next adventure with him. Rowdy would also like to thank her family for their continual support, to include all the long phone calls and visiting her when she lives in the desert. Rowdy is assigned to the 40th Flight Test Squadron at Eglin Air Force Base, Florida, where she will test the F-15E and EX. Captain Gregory Bunker Search, Experimental Test RPA Pilot, United States Air Force. Bunker graduated from the U.S. Air Force Academy with a bachelor's degree in aeronautical engineering and applied mathematics. He received a master's degree from Stanford University in electrical engineering. He flew MQ-9 Reapers in Whiteman Air Force Base, Missouri. Bunker would like to thank his wife Jordana for her never-ending support throughout the course. He would also like to thank his parents, Doug and Linda, for always believing he could do great things. Bunker is assigned to the 452nd Flight Test Squadron at Edwards Air Force Base, where he will test remotely piloted aircraft. Captain Christopher Clutch Shannon, Experimental Test Pilot, United States Air Force. Clutch graduated from the United States Air Force Academy with a bachelor's degree in aeronautical engineering and the Massachusetts Institute of Technology with a master's degree in aerospace engineering. Clutch would like to thank God as his rock and foundation in all things. He is eternally grateful to his beautiful wife Sierra for her unwavering support, incredible grace, and never-ending patience throughout his career. He would also like to express his gratitude to his amazing sons, Mason and Cooper, for their resilience and constant smiles throughout the year, as well as to his mother Yvette and father John for instilling in him a love for aerospace and service. Clutch is assigned to the 461st Flight Test Squadron at Edwards Air Force Base, California, where he will test the F-35 Lightning, otherwise known as the Joint Strike Fighter. Captain Casey Sandman Slattery, Experimental Flight Test Engineer at United States Air Force. Sandman graduated from the Missouri University of Science and Technology with a bachelor's degree in aerospace engineering and the University of Alabama with a master's degree in aerospace engineering and mechanics. Sandman would like to thank his family for always supporting him no matter how far away they are. He would also like to thank his 22 Bravo classmates for being his family away from home and for all the karaoke, banana shirt, and two friends memories that made it an unforgettable year. Sandman is assigned to the 413th Flight Test Squadron, Detachment 1 at Nellis Air Force Base, Nevada, where he will test the HH-60 Whiskey. Squadron Leader Stephen Tavo Tabner, Experimental Flight Test Pilot, Rural Air Force. Tavo graduated from the University of Reading with a master's degree in mechanical engineering. Tavo would like to thank his beautiful, caring, and patient wife, Grace, for her unwavering support throughout the year. The early starts, late finishes, and missing weekends have been grueling, but she's been there like a warrior. Tavo will continue his flight test career at the 56th Squadron at Rural Air Force, Waddington, testing RC-135 aircraft. Captain Robert Cliff Torek, Experimental Flight Test Engineer, United States Air Force. Cliff graduated from University of Utah with a Bachelor of Science degree in Mechanical Engineering. Cliff would like to thank his family for their continuous love, support, and guidance throughout his life. This journey would not have been possible without them. He would also like to thank his incredible 22 Bravo classmates for their encouragement and support throughout the year and for the memories he would cherish forever. Cliff is assigned to the 419th Flight Test Squadron at Edwards Air Force Base, California, where he will test B-1, B-2, and B-52 bombers. And last but certainly not least, the class leader, Major Brian Wedge Walpole, Experimental Flight Test Pilot, United States Marine Corps. Wedge graduated from Colorado State University with a bachelor's degree in mechanical engineering. Wedge would like to thank his wife and eternal companion, Candy, for being an unwavering friend and amazing mother. He would also like to thank his sons Cole, Chase, and Trey for filling his life with adventures, excitement, joy, and repeated introductions to security forces. Wedge is assigned to VX-31 at Naval Air Weapons Station, China Lake Ridgecrest, California, where he will test the FA-18 Hornet and Super Hornet. Brigadier General Heiger and Colonel Pabon, thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the graduating class and the TPS staff, I would like to thank you all for sharing this very special day with us. Please join me in a final round of applause for our newest group of flight test professionals, the Fun Class. This concludes today's official ceremony. We will now transition to dinner. Since we do have a sizable group here tonight, Mrs. Gracie will dismiss the tables to the buffet. Thank you all and enjoy your evening.